The science of chiropractic begins with the science of the vertebral subluxation complex. For better, for worse, if that offends you, too bad. This is the profession that you're in. We were talking about that this morning. John, what was that state that wants to get rid of philosophy and subluxation?
Texas.
Texas, yeah. They want to write subluxation out of their state charter for the definition of chiropractic in the state, right? Did you know that it took something like 70 years for all 50 states vertebral subluxation to be set up as the legal niche of chiropractic and the specialization in all 50 state legislatures? It took us years and years to get that. Now these guys want to throw it away. What are you going to do? Shake and bake and rub a dub? This is the irony, that medicine, organized medicine, has no problem with subluxation exactly as DD and BJ defined it. You want to talk about the science of subluxation? Okay, here's a few of the people, just a few of the educators, all medical doctors: Irwin Kaur, Ruth Jackson, Renee Collier, Sidney Sunderland, Heidi Havoc, Carl DiStefano, Neil Sivala, Malik Schlossberg. We talk about all these people in the full-day seminar and look at their peer-reviewed, legitimate science that shows subluxation exactly as DD envisioned it. Here's Dorland's Medical Dictionary and Stedman's Medical Dictionary in every medical school. Subluxation is incomplete or partial dislocation of vertebrae. What's the big deal? A lesion or dysfunction. Subluxation is, quote, a lesion or dysfunction in a joint in which alignment, movement integrity, or physiological function are altered. A functional entity which may influence biomechanical and neural integrity. This is not chiropractic. This is mainstream medicine, mainstream orthopedics. So, you know, the schools refuse to read any of this. Oh, this is actually from the World Health Organization, who is the mouthpiece of the pharmaceutical industry. They acknowledge subluxation as BJ and DD did. Now, Heidi Havoc, she's, you know, New Zealand, but here's what her early work said this. A subluxation equates with, well, here's what Heidi did. I mean, she's a primary researcher, right? She's in her clinic, which I've been in New Zealand. She hooks up, you know, electrodes to students pre and post adjustment, and she's got thousands and thousands of clinical cases, and here's her clinical trials, here's her results. A subluxation equates with altered afferent input to the nervous system. This leads to altered sensory processing, which causes altered sensory motor integration, and therefore altered output or altered function. The chiropractic adjustment, by improving afferentation, will lead to improved function. This is a model of neuroplasticity. This is not a theory. This is not a theory. This is proven fact that everybody knows. The remodeling of neural patterns within the brain. That's what we're doing. Here's the source for that. Your note number 1. So this is from the Chiropractic Journal of Australia. So we're talking about the facilitation and inhibition of neural pathways. This is what causes chronic pain patterns, muscle guarding, learning, disease, posture, spinal lesions, adjustment. The reorganization of the cortex. I mean, this is what all our afferent information does. The neural signals coming into the brain create patterns that are constantly reorganizing in your cortical architecture. It's an ongoing process. And so subluxations and adjustments have a direct input into this entire system. It's not a theory. This is solid science, proven fact. Okay, so when you think of the last injury you were in, I can think of some motorcycle accidents. I can think of my thoroughbred throwing me off and breaking 4 ribs, and do you know what the word hemopneumothorax means? Okay, so we've all had severe traumatic injuries, right? Now, spinal distortions created by trauma. If you don't believe in chiropractic, if you don't know about chiropractic, and you just go to your local doc in the box and he gives you Motrin 800s, and you do that for a while, well then you have a new distorted pattern which your body is accepting as the new you. Memorizing all the paraspinal muscle patterns is now the new you, and then that is feeding the afferent information into your neuroplasticity, creating this solid new brain pattern. This is the new you, right? Memorizing the pattern of injury. You're memorizing, your brain memorizes the pattern of injury. So, oh yeah, so here's some of my, well, this is not just me. This is not just me. This is many people. But these are patterns of injury. So which do we want? Do we want the patterns of injury, or do we want the patterns of healing? So all of these are sources of trauma, and everybody in this room could tell their own stories. John, I know you could, for the rest of the day, describing our own particular experience in this area, right? Or patterns of healing. You know, all chiropractors should use this analogy of the orthodontist. You know, that's exactly what we're doing. We're retraining the spine, right? It really works. Children, that's the famous girl from, she's on the cover of all the vaccine books. But as the twig is bent, so grows the tree. These retarded people are saying, why in the world would you ever adjust a child? As the twig is bent, so grows the tree. Here we have the top athletes. They all go to chiropractors. Okay. Now, after I was in Palermo for those years, the next job, Mark, I had after that is I went to Hawaii, and I was in Honolulu, and I got a job for a few months with a doctor who was taking time off for surgery. So I'm in Honolulu practicing, and one day Gil Janklowitz walks in, and I go, "Gil, how you doing, buddy?" He goes, "Shut up and adjust me." Okay, who's Gil Janklowitz? Some of you may know. It's the longest running workout exercise TV program ever. You know, I think it's still on, right? Anyways, why am I telling you about Gil? Because this guy was probably about 40 at that time. Yeah, it's probably about 40 at that time. He's like total fitness guy. He's really funny. He's a great guy. Always, he's there at Diamond Head, Waikiki, with all the hot girls in bikinis and doing all the exercises. He's really fit. So that guy came in. He lay down on the table, prone on the table. So I'm like palpating paraspinal musculature, and that was the first time I realized what normal is. Okay, when you are prone on an adjusting table, you're lying down there. Your traps, rhomboids, the longissimus, all the long muscles, the erector spinae, those muscles aren't working. You're lying straight down. Those muscles are supposed to be relaxed. And every single one of his muscles, I mean, he was like an anatomy lesson, was completely relaxed. And it was because he has gotten chiropractic all his life. And I was just filling in for his chiropractor. So, but that, as we all know, that's not how most people are. Most people have patterns of injury, chronic muscle spasm patterns. Your right rhomboids is always in spasm, and the left one isn't quite so bad. Something like that, right? So that's because the patterns of injury have not been corrected. And that's your new neuroplasticity. That's the new you that you have accepted.